Cisco and AOE Section 2 Post-Assessment Implementing Automation for Cisco DNA Center Operations. Question 1. What Cisco DNA Center functionality is used to integrate other adjacent applications and systems like IPAM or ITSM? So IPAM stands for IP address management system, and ITSM stands for IT service management. And these are REST-based integration adapter APIs. As opposed to that, device packs or multi-vendor Java SDK, these are to extend the southbound APIs to make the center able to communicate with third party or other vendors' equipment. And I also suspect that these are discontinued or not supported anymore. And of course, Intent API is the main REST northbound API interface for DNA Center. What is one Cisco DNA Center network management capability? Policy-based automation. That sounds good, like a good answer. That's what this is one management capability DNA Center has. Auditable and logged workflows. Maybe, but not necessarily. Integration of workflows and applications and data center management. So data center management has nothing to do with DNA Center at all, because DNA Center is all about the enterprise network, right? Not data center. Integration of workflows and applications. What does that mean? Yeah, I do not like either of these two. Yeah, it makes more sense just the policy-based automation to be correct answer. What are two skills that humans perform better than machines? Okay, thinking critically, probably yes. Typically machines, they just follow instructions, and even if it's an advanced AI, it would typically just follow instructions, not be able to think critically. Executing repeatable tasks with a predefined context, that's more for machines. Finding creative solutions, that's more a human property. Operating at scale, that's better for automation, scripts, programs, and things like that, of course, machines. Managing lots of different data sets at the same time, this is also better for machines, so it makes sense this way. Match the Cisco DNA Center feature to its description. All right. Automated device discovery, zero-touch device deployment, drag-and-drop policy creation. What is this? Automated device discovery, zero-touch device deployment, drag-and-drop policy creation. That's probably policy-based automation, but I don't see how it relates to device discovery. I'll skip this for just a moment. So this one will be policy workflows that govern the relationship between endpoint groups or applications. That's definitely policy-based automation. That's what it should be, right? So this is policy-based automation. Closed loop automation with guided remediation with the network as a sensor. That is closed loop automation network as a sensor. This is probably network automation, right? Guided remediation, there is nothing about security here, so that's what it is. So then this should be, okay, this is analytic, threat detection, and traffic patterns to notify the business of issues. Threat detection and traffic patterns, that's probably security. That's what it relates to. Automated device discovery, zero-touch device deployment, drag-and-drop policy creation. Oh yeah, this is context-guided analytics. I think it makes sense, especially drag-and-drop policy creation. Or maybe not. Closed loop automation with guided. These questions, they are so ambiguous. Policy workflows that govern the relationship between endpoint groups of applications. Yeah, that's policy-based automation to me. Closed-loop automation with guided remediation with the network as a sensor. Context-guided analytics. I'll keep it like that. I'm not really sure about this question. It's quite a bit ambiguous. Okay, anyway. Match each of the Cisco DNA Center intent API domains to its definition. All right. Intent, we have domains, a bunch of domains here, a policy, operation tool, site management, event management, and so on. Okay, some of them should be pretty clear. Some of them may be a little bit ambiguous. Creates a security token and authorizes each request operation according to the access privileges that are associated with the security token that accompanies the request. So that's definitely authentication, and there is the API endpoints for this. View details about clients, sites, topology, devices, and issues. Okay, so that's kind of a dashboard thing. It's probably know your network. Create and manage sites, devices, IP pools, edge and border devices. That's, I think, what you can do in Know Your Network. Helps to provision enterprise networks with zero-touch deployment. So zero-touch helps to provision with zero-touch deployment. It's either site management or operation tools, I guess. I'll skip it for the moment. Provides the means for configuring and managing fabric wired and non-fabric wireless devices. So that should be connectivity, I think. So select connectivity. Okay, and this one enables you to configure and manage CLI templates, discover network devices, configure network settings, and trace paths. So trace path and command runner and this kind of stuff, they are fall into the domain of operational tools in DNA Center. So that should be operational tools. Enables creation of application policies that are used to reflect your organization's business intent and translate them. This is policy for sure. All right. Is there such thing as a policy? Yeah, I think there should be. Provides the ability to receive custom notifications when specific events are triggered. That should be event management. And finally, we are left here with site management. So there is site management and there is know your network. And in my opinion, the API functionality in these two domains, they a little bit overlap. So we can do stuff with sites in both of them, right? But know your network goes just beyond site, right? So you can create and manage sites in terms of like more from the outside perspective, but apart from sites, you can also show the topology of the network, and you can manage devices, clients, users, and observe issues about all these things, all these entities, right? And site management, it's more about configuring the internals of a specific site. So among these two options, so helps to provision enterprise network with zero-touch deployment. Does it belong to, yeah, that's device importing. So that should be site management. This is more internal to the site, but this is more kind of external to the site. This should be know your network thing. All right, so that should be it. Which Cisco DNA Center functionality is used to integrate multi-vendor support? Again, this is I think it was in question 1 already, and it's not supported anymore as far as I understood. Device packs and the DNA Center multi-vendor Java SDK is the correct answer here. That's the extension of the southbound API. Intent API is the northbound API. Design, policy, provision, and assurance, they are workflows inside DNA Center. And Cisco Plug and Play is a tool or technology or protocol for onboarding and provisioning new devices. Where can the Cisco DNA Center Intent API documentation be found? Oh, okay. It's under platform, I think, then developer toolkit or automation docs. The automation docs sounds cheesy, so I don't like how it sounds. Really, I wouldn't call this way. Developer toolkit, I think is the right answer. What is the name of the Python class that is needed with DNA Center SDK to create a session for all API calls? Name of the Python class that is needed with this SDK. So it's like within DNA Center SDK, you use you use a class, okay, to create a connection basically. Okay. Yeah, so the name of this class is DNA Center API, and you use it to basically create a new handler for your connection with DNA Center. Okay, what is one benefit of using DNA Center SDK to access the Intent API? Okay, ready to use custom built library for Intent APIs. That's what it is. That's a correct answer, right? DNA Center SDK can also manage Cisco ACI. No, it can do that. Cisco ACI is a somewhat similar technology and platform for data center networks, application-centric infrastructure. That's what it stands for. And DNA Center has nothing to do with it. Need to maintain data center SDK. I don't see how this is a benefit, but yeah, there is a need, but I guess people do maintain it. Dependency on PyPI library. No, it's PyPI is not a library. Actually, it's a repository of Python packages, libraries. So this option doesn't make sense. Question 10. What is one benefit of building your own framework to access the Intent API? Okay, yeah, let's see. Reinforcing basic Python skills. No, probably you will need a bit more advanced Python skills to build your own platform. Maintaining your library. Don't see this as a benefit. Similar to the previous question, maintaining something is not a benefit at all. It's a burden, rather. Changing your library to Cisco DNA Center as Cisco DNA Center evolves. Again, this is kind of similar to the previous one. If DNA Center evolves and its API gets new features or maybe get some new versions, sometimes they introduce some breaking changes, which means you would have to update your code in order for things to continue to function. That's more like well, that's not necessarily pure burden, but that's definitely part of it as a burden. It's not a benefit for sure. So then the last option should be correct. As your environment gets more complex, your framework gets more complex. And that makes sense. So if you have a simple environment, you need to do something very simple. You just build very simple code in Python or maybe other language. And then once you evolve your infrastructure, your automation or the framework you're using can grow more complexity as well. Which option is the best way to consume the Intent API for a script? So you can consume it for a script. That's important. So kind of script part here is important in this question, I believe. Python libraries is a good answer. Curl is a command line tool. You can definitely use curl maybe multiple times as part of your script. It could be possibly a bash script or something like that, but that's not really the best way. Postman is not the best way either. Again, in Postman you can daisy chain requests and make some scripting based off from this, but it's not the best one. Python is pretty straightforward. And Web GUI developer kit or toolkit, it has nothing to do with scripting. It's just outlier here. What is one feature of DNA Center SDK? It reads your DNA Center credentials securely from environment variables. No, that's not what it does. What does that? The Python OS library, I guess. Simply straightforward like that. Okay, it does not represent all returned JSON as Python objects. I think it does. So you can access these returned entities from DNA Center. You can treat them either as Python object, like using the dot notation, or you can treat them as data structures, like dictionaries and lists nested into each other. It does not process rate limiting requests. It should be. I mean, typically SDKs do this. They handle the rate limiting. So if API server responds with what is it, 429, if I'm not mistaken, HTTP status code rate limit, it will wait for the specified amount of time to repeat the request. It automates data center switches. This is not an option here. It doesn't. It has nothing to do with data center switches. Okay, but again, what is one feature of DNA Center SDK? I think out of these options, this will be number one. Yes, you can do it yourself with, as I said, with the OS module, like os.environ get or get environ, something like that. But DNA Center itself can read it directly, so it is coded internally to just try to read a specific variable from the environment. And if you have defined this environment prior, this variable in the environment prior to running your code, you don't need to specify anything in your script where you're using DNA Center SDK yourself at all. Okay. With which package manager is DNA Center SDK installed? Of course, it's PIP or PIP. It's the package manager for all Python packages and libraries. Which option is a Python library in the standard library that can be used to build your own framework for accessing the intent API? That gotta be requests, right? Requests can consume over the HTTP protocol can consume RESTful API, any RESTful API, including the DNA Center intent API. Urlib is an additional kind of how can I say, a utilities library. I think it actually is used by the requests. Node.js has nothing to do with Python, and Pandas is a Python libraries for data analytics. What is one step in configuring webhooks for Cisco DNA Center events? All right. Enable and configure network events for REST endpoints bundle. And I think this is the correct answer. Other options are seamlessly, I've seen this in the pretest, they are ridiculous, these options. Seamlessly disseminate, go forward, e-commerce, this is just gibberish, and this one is a gibberish as well. Enable Cisco DNA Center passtrace. Passtrace has nothing to do with events. So first option here is the obvious choice. Which option is a use case that Cisco DNA Assurance solves? Again, there is only one sensible option here: data collection, ingestion, correlation, analysis, visualization, and action. That's kind of a step-by-step process, very well defined. Other options here, they are complete gibberish, obviously, so I'm not going to spend more time here. For which workflow does Cisco DNA Center Assurance provide actionable insights? Okay, for which workflow Assurance provides actionable insights? Network client and application, data center, infrastructure, cell phone. That's probably just one, right? Because other things, they are not kind of much related to enterprise networks. So data center is not related. Cell phones aren't related. Unified communications are somewhat related to enterprise network environment, but it's too specific, right? So actionable insights should be more generic, kind of across the whole domain of enterprise networks. So then first option should be right. What is the correct path to access the intent API to initiate a new path trace? Okay. For this one, I just remember, I just can recall the correct option is one, flow analysis. It could have been named differently, but it is named flow analysis. So I don't know how you can kind of guess it better than just remember it's flow analysis. I hope I'm not wrong, but it's not called path trace. It's in the API, it's called flow analysis. So that should be the correct one. What is the correct path to access the intent API to get overall client health? Okay, here, unlike with the previous question, we have different beginning of this URL. So let's see. It must be DNA slash intent slash API slash V1, which leaves us with option 1 or 3. So, and it's between client action and then client health. And straightforwardly, I guess this should be client health because client action is probably kind of too different, sounds too different from the health idea. And also, yeah, I remember there is site health API endpoint. I don't remember specifically client health, but that should be it. That's pretty much straightforward. Okay, question 20. Which option is an example of an alerting mechanism? Okay, alerting mechanism. syslog is, I think, is an alerting mechanism, right? Because log message, something happens, log message has been created, and log message is being sent somewhere. That's what it is, right? SNMP get is a request for information. So this troubleshooting tool, you need to make action first, then get some information from the device. And ping is also, no, it's not alerting for sure. And the other option here is, again, I don't like the fact that they include just some gibberish as options here. That looks, to be honest, a bit lazy to me, but that's obviously just gibberish. What is the name of the application that receives a webhook? Webhook is sent from the API service to the receiver of the webhook, right? So receiver is what it's called. Okay, it wasn't perfect. I only got 17 out of 21, so 4 questions were incorrect, and they've been across all the 3 sections of this course. Unfortunately, there is no tool here to see the mistakes, and I will have to leave it as is.